Sit. Good morning, everyone. Good morning. Oh, this is a rowdy crowd. I love it. I love it. We have a wonderful day planned for you. Welcome to the Alaska Music Summit. I'm Marian Call. This is Yngvil Vatn Guttu. And the first and most important thing we can possibly say is that when we talk about music in Alaska, we are talking about a tradition that is potentially tens of thousands of years old. It extends into time immemorial. And we are on Dena'ina land. We are celebrating music on Dena'ina land, and the continuation of music from thousands of years ago into the future is the business that we are here to talk about today. The land we are on has been stewarded for generations since time immemorial by the Dena'ina people. It continues to be, and it will be in the future. For those of us who are not Dena'ina, we are privileged to be here as guests, and I hope that we can walk as guests in a place that it is so amazing to be. So I'm up from Tlingit country, so Gunakchish is what we say, and our purpose here today is really to gather and share enough. While we're in here, we're going to be listening, but part of the point of today is to talk. So if you do find someone you need to have a conversation with, by all means, please take the time to have that conversation about that project or that thing or that student, and do it in the lobby. The lobby is a conversation space for this entire event, anytime you need it. The last thing I want to mention really quickly is that we are very well aware that in this space, we are all students and we are all teachers. We have folks who are sharing knowledge today, and I am aware that the people who are on stage are not necessarily the expert in the room. You are probably also the expert in the room. In any given space, I was trying to put together a panel on engineering, and I looked at my list and I was like, there's going to be 20 audio engineers here. How can anyone tell anyone else anything about this? So in every breakout, in every space, this is a discussion where everyone is a student and a teacher. I'm going to hand things over to my compatriot Yngvil for just a second to introduce kind of some of the framework of how we got here.
Thank you. Please give it up again before I start for Marian Call and her amazing event team. And I know you'll clap even louder when you get to see what is in store for you today. It's been quite amazing to sit a little bit more on the sideline than I normally do to watch all this come together. Thank you so much, Marian, and thank you everybody else. And thank you to you for coming. I'm going to just say a few little things. So my name is Yngvil Guttu, and I came to Alaska 22 years ago, and I didn't know anything but that I wanted a community. And I figured that I would do what I did when I was 3 years old, and we moved house for the first time. And I walked around the neighborhood and knocked on all the doors and said, "Are there anyone to play with here?" I did pretty much the same thing, but I've just been doing it in a slightly different way for the past few years. And we started a nonprofit organization to find people and develop people to play with. So Northern Culture Exchange is the nonprofit that is still housing MusicAlaska. I'm going to tell you in a second that it's not going to be for very long, in great ways. But just tell you a little bit about what we currently are doing. When Marian did the acknowledgement to the stewards of the land here, I'm sure you agree with me that it's taken us a little time, and it's still taking us time to figure out who we are, why we are, what we need to say, and what we need to do, and how to identify in a time that's really changing in so many different ways. Organizations also do this, and so we have also figured out much more in the last few years about who we are, what we want to do, and the identity of the organization is very much tied to the identity of the people and the place. So what I can tell you now about the Northern Culture Exchange very briefly is that we do three things. We program partner, we incubate, and we fiscal partner, meaning that because we have a nonprofit entity, we can help people, we can connect people and initiatives with resources. Most precious resources, dollars, but also other things, humans, experience, equipment, venues, all kinds of things. So we're part of an ecosystem that makes music in Alaska a little bit easier, a little bit more fun, hopefully. So the current programs that we have is our BIPOC Creator Fund. We've been recording albums and helping theater productions and a lot of other things. MusicAlaska, I don't know if you've heard of MusicAlaska. It's happening, and it's been a very, very interesting and fantastic journey. Music in the Wild is a program in its third year, concerts in the beautiful and amazing nature in Alaska, and Spinal Jazz Fest, which is probably the reason why the organization was founded in the first place. And then you can see who we are working with. I'm not going to list them, but we're very happy to add more people and event series, and doesn't all have to be music. It can be any creative idea that people have that has legs, and we have some criteria for, we've learned to develop some criteria so that what we're spending our time on is actually going to fly. So I'm hoping to connect with a lot more of you today, and I'm looking forward to hearing big ideas at the end of the day, and really throughout of it all. I'm actually thrilled to see so many good friends that I've been able to make over the last 20 years or so. And as I mentioned earlier, the program that has definitely been highest up on our mind, and maybe taken more time and sweat equity and everything in a very loving and hurrah way, is building and developing MusicAlaska. We started out as a Kimi with Michael Howard and myself. Marian Call came on very early in that game, and Marian is now running, steaming ahead with this new organization, the rebrand that's happening, and MusicAlaska is about to start on its own as a 501c3, which Marian will tell you more about. Thank you to executive board members who are sitting in the room. And I'll hand it back to Marian to talk about what MusicAlaska is doing. Thank you.
Sometimes I feel embarrassed talking about this music nerd stuff, but then I remember that mostly music nerds come to these things, so it's probably okay. MusicAlaska is the name we've envisioned for a very long time for something that does what we do. Because we look at other places like BC has Music BC, and the Yukon has Music Yukon, and Iceland has Music Iceland, and Idaho is developing Music Idaho, and Portland has Music Portland, right? This is how all of these organizations that do this really big picture zoomed out work are called, and we're starting to work with those organizations and learn from them, and now start to work alongside them. That's why we are starting to try to level up cautiously and hopefully with the support of the community into the name MusicAlaska, in part because Akimi is something that no one can pronounce or could remember what it stood for. So good branding exercise. The question we get most often is, what on earth does MusicAlaska do? And the answer is really a lot of stuff. And most of it involves spreadsheets. What we do is the deep work that is sometimes boring to other people of assembling, compiling information and trying to use that information to move the whole big picture forward just a tiny bit. And it's inspiring to us because we've seen other organizations do it. All of this business, and I can share this graphic with you online. It's called the Akimi cephalopod in my hard drive, because we were trying to map what all we're trying to do. And the green things are the things we were actively doing successfully at that point. Got a few more green ones now, I think. What we do here is stuff that we learned from other music offices. Music Iceland, Music Portland, all of those. These are music offices. And their job is to work for all of the musicians, for the music system as a whole, the music ecosystem, the music environment. And that's what we are working to do. That means we're looking at every corner of the music environment, including whichever one you personally always forget. I grew up the daughter of wedding musicians, so I always think of the classical musicians, the jazz trios, and the wedding DJs. And I very often am going to forget the blues band. I very often am going to forget the home teacher or the school music educator. I'm sometimes going to forget the worship leader, but they are also absolutely key components of our music ecosystem, just like the audio engineers and the luthiers and the folks tinkering with software to model digital amps, right? There are so many people who participate in what we're doing, and the job of a music office is to work for them all. This work essentially boils down to stuff I'm not going to read off a slide for you because you're grown-ups, but getting Alaskan music heard is the one we're working on the hardest right now. Alaskans have made a lot of amazing music over decades, and a lot of it, it might have come out 10 years ago, but it's still incredible, didn't get heard by enough people, and we believe that just like I landed in an airplane at Kona Airport for the first time in many, many, many years this summer with my family, and the music suddenly changed, and it was traditional Hawaiian music, and it's wonderful. And I was like, if they can do that, if Alaska Airlines can do that when they land in Kona, I know they can do it when we land in Anchorage. Our job now is to get ourselves into a position where we can persuade them that they should and bring them the tools so that they can. That's sort of a metaphor for the larger work that we do. The other work we do is work that you guys tell us to, essentially. And we try to figure that out by doing a lot of data collection, surveying, and asking. For example, to program today, all the stuff that's happening today is stuff we have specifically been asked for, and asked for a lot. And next year, we'll do what you ask us for at the Music Summit. So we want to see more and different stuff every year, and we try to bring what was requested from the community, particular kinds of expertise in education, particular discussions. All of these projects are very exciting. I'd love to talk to you more about them, but also not run out my time here. A few of the projects we've worked on really hard last year and that we're coming into this year. We started the Alaska Playlist Project 2 years ago. That is to take every Alaskan artist we can find and start compiling them into playlists together on Spotify. Some of them are by region, like we have an Anchorage, Juneau, Fairbanks playlist, working on a Valley playlist, working on a playlist of folks from towns that are smaller than 10,000 and putting them all together, which gives you this amazing sound. It's a very cool one. We also have a jazz playlist. We also have hip hop playlists and hardcore playlists and like coffee shop playlists and love songs, right? Any kind of theme that you can think of, we make playlists about. We've been doing this long enough now, over 2 years, especially thanks to Emily Anderson from Fairbanks, that we have over 900 tracks that we've identified. The thing about listening to music online is people go home and they forget that they can listen to their favorite Alaskan band in the background just like they do any other music, right? And we could make that cultural change over time. We could make it normal. Just like in Iceland, you go out, you listen to your favorite Icelandic music, you walk around in the stores, every shop is playing local music, all different genres, all different styles, but every store is doing it. And when people go home, they are still listening to their local music because they value it. Alaskans have Alaskan art on their wall. We wear locally designed clothes and earrings. The earrings are big, right? And I don't think it would be that hard to persuade people that bringing their favorite band, their favorite DJ, their favorite artist home with them is something that they can and should do as a point of local pride. This is the message we want to spread. You guys can help spread it by just saying, hey, why aren't we listening to Alaskan music right now? One of the ways that we have affected this is to finally compile an Alaska all-day playlist. This is a playlist designed specifically for us to take to retailers, because gift shops for tourists in particular should be playing background music all day by Alaskans, both to put royalties into pockets and to share Alaskan culture. Now that we have an 8-hour playlist that we know doesn't have like surprise genre changes or like language that somebody will get upset about, whatever. Now that we have this to bring to the professional sector, we can kind of put on our grown-up suits and go talk to folks at conferences and say, here, we've made this. Now you can use it if you use the right commercial tools to play music in your space, if you license it properly. Having done that work, we're starting to finally make headway on our mission to try to get Alaskan music played all over the place. Some of you remember doing the Alaska Music Census a year ago and going, that was cool, what happened? What happened was we've started to be able to build incredible resources because of it. We've started to be able to do business mapping and venue mapping. We've started to be able to generate reports, and we're gonna share stuff from some of those reports later on, like how much money musicians make for the environment of Anchorage, even though we don't always take home very much of it, right? Because of this project, we've started working with other music offices in other states, they actually want to know how we did it because we got one of the highest response rates that they've ever seen because of you guys participating, because of you guys telling each other and taking part. We got really good data. And now Oregon, Washington, and Idaho are collaborating with us to analyze it, as well as to start building a project for the entire Northwest that might, the goal is to start to create trade routes around the Northwest for those 4 states, especially the communities that have trouble getting artists in and out. And this is called the Cascadia Music Collective. The census data allowed us to do this for the first time. I actually have a few copies here. If you really want one, you can take one. They're kind of precious, but we made this publication because of the census data. The Alaska Tourism Industry Board was only aware of about 20 music festivals in Alaska. We identified over 80. And so we made a map and a brochure. And we did a small print of it, but I want you to know that this map and brochure, we are proofing now. We're running by the smaller communities to see if it's accurate, because we want this in every airport, alongside all the other travel brochures, so that Alaskans and visitors alike know, oh, I happen to be going in June when there's something going on in Hope. I should get out to Hope so that I don't miss this incredible thing going on. It also has on the back how and where to listen to Alaskan music and find Alaskan concerts. This went into the legislative welcome basket of every legislator for the next legislative session. And we're going to be lobbying them about this over the next session. So, stepping up. We have also been a supporter of akconcerts.com. Some of you may know the press finally discontinued their support for the concert calendar, the only concert calendar in the state that was covering all concerts. We called Cody Heron-Webb, who spoke here last year, and we said, you have to continue this work. You have to continue this work. Can we pay you what the press was paying you to continue this work? And when we found out how little it was, we said, yes, we will do that. And also we need to figure out how to support akconcerts.com more. So we are partnering with them now and hoping to build more support for what is genuinely the only statewide online event calendar that has any accuracy. If I hope you're subscribed. If you are, you know how hard Cody works and how crucial that work is. We've hosted, I believe, 10 office hours sessions on Zoom on every miscellaneous topic. Anyone can join. They're free, they're recorded, and they're just either a local or visiting expert telling us how things are done. This is the kind of professional training people have been asking for in Alaska, and we've been trying to offer. This year, for the first time, we are expanding our summits to Juneau and Fairbanks, a long-time goal of ours, to start having convenings around the state. So Juneau, February 1st, Fairbanks, February 8th. If some of us look a little glazed after February 8th, you will know why. But we have local teams organizing all 3, which is really exciting, locally led. And let me just conclude and get out of the way by saying something that has become extremely apparent to me this last year. Facing the world as it is, it can be very discouraging to focus on artistry and art, on our work, on our little problems that we have. And the thing that has kept coming back to me about continuing to work on this is, in the first place, that music will never stop, no matter what government we live under, no matter what policies we live under, no matter what the world comes to. Music has never stopped. It didn't stop during plagues. It hasn't stopped during fires. It hasn't stopped during floods. It hasn't stopped during the rise and fall of empires. And music has been here on Dena'ina land for thousands and thousands of years, and it will not stop as long as there are people. And the next thing I realized was that nobody wants to improve our music scene except for us. It is not in anyone else's interest to work on making it better. So that means if we don't do the work, then nothing happens. And I want things to happen because I see incredible talent and incredible potential every single place that I look. Every week I'm learning about a new band or a new artist or a new teacher or a new method. And if we don't do the work, it won't happen because nobody else cares about our scene the way we do. Nobody will make it better except for us. That's why I'm so grateful you're here. I'm so grateful that you're here to converse with each other. I firmly believe that just getting together does something. Just talking to each other and sharing space and sharing messages does something. We're going to share some upfront messages a little bit. Then we're going to do some breakout sessions. Those breakouts are discussions. They're open. There's going to be Q&A. There's going to be talking, and there's going to be time in between. And as I said, again, if you ever do need to just have a conversation with someone, please feel free to use the lobby. Conversations are the point of today. At the same time, we'll try and share exactly the information that you've asked us for the last few years. That was a word on today's form. Tomorrow, we are continuing the conversation at what people last year called their favorite networking event of the year, which is just us talking at a restaurant for 3 hours with tables that people rotate between to discuss with. I can't tell you how often people were pointing, oh, you need to talk to them. You need to connect with them. Oh, you need funding, you need to talk to them. You need a bass player, you need to talk to them. Oh, you want to work with drum tracks? Just, it was amazing. So I do invite you, if you have the time, if you have the energy, to join us tomorrow from 12 to 3, Organic Oasis. Everything is free this weekend. Again, some of you have donated to support it. Thank you. If you're able to donate it to support it, we've worked very hard to bring it to you. And we love paying the technicians and the folks who work for us as much as we can. I'm going to conclude with that and pass the mic to Lisa Hawkins to introduce this year's theme.
Hello. We're so happy you're here. There's so many people here, which is so exciting. And we have a lot of amazing content today, some great guest speakers and panelists who have so generously donated their time and expertise to be here. So to shape and give context to the topics that we'll be talking about today, I'm here to introduce the theme of the year. Also, hello, my name is Lisa Hawkins. I am an artist, which is my primary job. I am a manager and performer in Pipeline Vocal Project, an a cappella group here in Anchorage. But I'm standing up here because I also work for MusicAlaska as a communication specialist, and I also do some miscellaneous administrative duties. And one of the things I got to assist with is the Alaska Music Census that Marian spoke about earlier, and I'm sure a lot of you have participated in last year. And at the end of that survey, we asked people, what do you want to see happen in music in Alaska? And it was my glamorous job to sift through those comments. Over 1,000 comments we got, which was awesome. I'm still sifting through them. But if I could have made a chart to depict how many times the word more professionalism was mentioned in those comments, from all directions, artists, educators, organizations, it was clearly such an outlier. And what we were hearing was that people wanted better for our musicians, our events, and our music community. So thankfully, those comments told us what the community was hungry for. So we decided to create this year's summit to fully encompass that and make that the focal point of this year, leveling up. Perfect. So we understand that leveling up can mean different things to different people, depending on what stage of career you're at, what type of artist you are, and the list goes on. But maybe leveling up means improving your stagecraft and showmanship. For others, it may mean learning about contracts, or for festivals and organizations, maybe that means staying organized amidst the chaos. Those are all breakout session names, so go check those out later. So we tried to encompass a lot of topics that may empower and encourage us as a community to level up, because the more of us who have these skills and the knowledge, the more the whole community benefits. And speaking of community, I want to touch on what leveling up as a community can mean as well. Another comment I saw frequently on that census were the words, more respect for artists. I'm sure no one here is like, what? What does that mean? And as I tried to dig a little deeper into what that means and what we can do as a collective to achieve that, the main conclusion that kept coming to my mind was solidarity, which brings us to the together part of our theme. Especially in this community, in this industry, we know that music is often undervalued. And when something is undervalued, the people who work hard in that sector, it can often feel like a race to the bottom. And we become accustomed to accepting less than what we deserve. And that's also tough to measure because undervaluing yourself can mean different things for different people, different career stages, different artist types. But I still think that we can present a united front as a community. And I believe that in order to create that kind of solidarity, there must be awareness and transparency within our community. For example, one of the things that is taboo or uncomfy to talk about, really in any industry, is money. And for artists, that becomes especially nebulous and stressful because it is really hard to put a dollar sign value on our art, your craft, yourself. So one of our goals for today, one of our longer segments today, we'll be pulling back that curtain a little bit and talking about how much artists and bands make here typically in Anchorage, depending on career stage, artist type, maybe even how many band members that you have. So if we are able to share some of this information with each other on a variety of topics, that increases that awareness and transparency so that we can get closer to valuing ourselves appropriately versus it continuing to feel like that race to the bottom. Because when that happens, we all lose. And I'm a firm believer in when one of us wins, we all win. So again, by increasing that knowledge, awareness amongst ourselves, I think and I hope that we'll begin to see some improvement, progress, and change, or in other words, more professionalism, leveling up. Well, thank you, whoever whistled. Because we may not be able to directly affect how much we are valued or how much a gig pays, but we can control what we accept and what we say yes to. And that, in the long run, can result in more respect for artists. But like Marian says, that has to start with us, right? And that includes respecting ourselves and each other as artists, professionals, and most importantly, as members of this music community, because Alaskan music in and of itself is a community. So, thank you. So I'll conclude all of this by saying there are so many ways to level up, and whether that be for your craft or for the business side of your art, but through gathering and sharing at events like this, we can empower ourselves and each other to elevate and amplify what we do best. So I hope that as we get inspired today through the presentations and breakout sessions, that you absorb it all with this in mind. Level up together. All right, but I think I've talked long enough. We are going to kick off the presentations with a guest from Washington's King County Creative, and she's going to present on what professionalism looks like. Please welcome Amie Danielewicz.
Hi, everybody. Thank you for having me. I have fallen in love with Anchorage. I love this place. I love this community. I am so excited to be here. I love your restaurants. I love your people. I love your music. This is an amazing place. And again, thank you for having me. So yes, my name is Amie Danielewicz, and I currently work for King County Government, which is the county Seattle, that houses Seattle, and I am essentially a project manager in economic development with a focus on film and music. However, in my pre-COVID career, it was nothing but live entertainment. All live entertainment, all in the Northwest, mostly all in the Northwest anyway, and in Seattle. We're going to do a little timeline of where I've been, and I've been some amazing places. I feel very fortunate for that. This is a photo of the Paramount Theater in Seattle, Washington. I will go ahead and advance to the timeline so we can talk about, I already basically covered this. So yes, so my current role, Economic Opportunity Manager, that's my official title. And I also have an event production company called Northern Lights Event Services, something that you probably have a little more claim to than us, but the spirit of it, right? It was the spirit of it. Bringing bright, amazing special events, right? My former roles, music venue operator and general manager, and I also have an extensive background in food and beverage. And I love your restaurants. Did I say that already? Yeah. All right, so here we go. I moved to Seattle out of college. I actually grew up in California, moved to Seattle, and I started at the OK Hotel. The OK Hotel is an earthquake took it down, sadly. The building's still there, but it closed and then became a apartment building, actually, which is very odd. But it was really an old hotel. So there were all these hotel rooms up above it that weren't being used, but in the downstairs, we had an amazing event space and cafe. And the OK Hotel was one of the first venues in Seattle to do all ages shows. In fact, they basically pioneered them. And the OK Hotel managed to work around some antiquated liquor laws in Seattle that required a venue to get an X number of their receipts from food sales and entertainment if they wanted to serve hard alcohol. So a lot of places that didn't want to serve food just wouldn't serve hard alcohol, and it kind of affected the shape of the music venues in the early 2000s. But the OK Hotel worked around that and started getting, they had their cafe side going, which was hot, and they had the all ages shows going, and with that grew some amazing artists. They were clutch in the grunge scene. The OK Hotel was it. And then from there, I went to the Break Room, which is now a venue called Chop Suey. Really sweet, sweet space. In 2000, I went to the Showbox, which is my longest tenure of 17 years. And the Showbox expanded into the Showbox Soto. We took on a second location around that time. AEG Live became interested in us, and we lost our independent venue status. We were then acquired by AEG Live, but that also allowed us to grow further into the region. So we took on Bumbershoot, and also the Marymore Park Concert Series, which is a beautiful park in the Seattle area. From there, I took a short stint with Live Nation and worked at the Orpheum Theater in Madison, Wisconsin. But I was so homesick for the Northwest, I turned around and I came right back home. And then I landed at the Paramount and the Moore, which are just gorgeous spaces. That was the photo that we led with. And then now I also still do have the event production business, and I do events on the side of my role with King County. And mostly, it's become a niche that we're doing beer gardens for nonprofits. So we're helping to raise money for the arts community in Seattle. So working with KEXP Radio, working with Rainier Beer, working with whoever we're working with to put on an event that is the beer garden is all the profits are going to nonprofits. So we feel really good about that. Yeah, it's awesome. And it's fun. And it brings all my old teams together, who I miss dearly. So. All right, so here's a photo of the marquee of the Showbox. That marquee is unchanged. The venue was founded in 1939, so there's a lot of amazing artists that have played there. And some of the events that are the closest to my heart that I remember, Weezer, Big Star, Bo Diddley, R.L. Burnside, Pearl Jam, Soundgarden, Foo Fighters, The Roots, Gorillaz, Black Keys, Sun Ra, Rocky Erickson, and with the Black Angels, Elliott Smith, and Prince. I had the unique pleasure of seeing Prince. Never spoke to him, of course. You know I didn't speak to him. But I had the unique pleasure of watching him come off our stage, beaming, just beaming. And that's such a special moment for me. So anyways, here's a poster from the OK Hotel. Sadly, I wasn't able to find a lot of great pictures, but I thought this poster would kind of tell a little bit of the story of that place. Again, Nirvana, I mean, it played some amazing shows there, and a lot of other, local artists in the Seattle area. And that's all I have for you, and that's all I have for you solo, but Marian and I are gonna talk about best practices.
Yeah, we talked about doing a long solo PowerPoint thing, for 30 minutes, and we're like, no, let's just talk.
Yeah.
Let's just talk.
Yeah.
Because we went out to Simon and Seifert's our first night here, and immediately I was like, I need to know more. So one of the things I absolutely love about your work was coming into a venue, looking around at 1,000 moving parts, and really all the moving parts are people, and trying to figure out how to make all the people cooperate to make this thing, make Prince walk off stage beaming, right? Because when Prince walks off stage beaming, that's when a lot of times the cooperation is invisible. Like cooperation when it's working is invisible, right? And how did you, when you came into a space where things were not functional, and you wanted to get it to functional, what were you looking at to try and make those decisions and like elevate?
I always start with the team, always. Recently it rolled right off my tongue. I was talking to somebody, I was like, I only hire somebodies. I don't hire nobodies, I only hire somebodies. Because everybody on your team is your ambassador and is they're going to touch your guests, they're gonna touch your artists, they're gonna take care of your building, they're gonna do everything, right? So the people that are in your team need to know that they're valued, they need to know how important they are, and that every single role is as important as every other. And I believe that truly. It's not as if this is something I give lip service to. Everyone on your team needs to know how to do that function. Everyone on the team needs to know this, even if they're not going to practice it, because it elevates them. It makes them feel better. It makes them know their importance, and then their pride shines through in their work and touches everybody else. And the message goes out into the community about how amazing that place is. And that also retains your staff for the long term as well. So I've always had roles where the job was so big that you could never deny the importance of the team. You know what I mean? I needed them to get the thing done. So it's the machine and getting that culture right is what I would say.
You told me a great story about a manager who couldn't retain bussers. He couldn't keep bussers in his place.
Yeah, that was interesting because I tend to be very strategic, and I'm like, this doesn't have to be a problem that we're always going to have, So what I came up with at the time was creating a pipeline and really creating a succession plan for bussers, right? They are a huge part of your team, and they need to go somewhere, right? So if you want to hold on to them, they have a future with you. They're part of the family. And so when you're filling these roles in low barrier employment, you automatically, you wind up with more diversity, right? Because you wind up, if it's low barrier, you're looking for certain traits, right? Somebody maybe who walks fast and who does this and who does, it could be anybody, because you're going to train them on the job and then you're going to train them into other positions. So the succession plan, we started with the succession plan so that you could start as a busser and wind up as the manager. And that's in fact what happened. The women that are currently, running the Showbox are bussers that I hired. So it's pretty amazing. And yeah, it's great. I'm so proud of that, and I'm so proud of them. And another thing that we did that I remember mentioning to you is that, we also made sure that we changed the name of the role. They weren't bussers, they were venue attendants, right? They were venue attendants who happened to have busing and cleaning functions. But so did anybody else on the team, so did I, right? And then we made sure to put them in the same the same shirts as the security guards. So they're not walking around in yellow shirts and the other people are walking around in black shirts. It's a unified team, It's a unified team. So they saw themselves, they saw their own succession just by looking around the room. And it was an amazing success. You couldn't walk in that door and just get a job bartending. No, you had to start as a busser, and then you became a bar back or a venue attendant, and then you became a bar back, and then you became a bartender or a security guard or a marketing assistant, et cetera, et cetera.
I want to ask you one more thing. You mentioned the importance of cross-training to me, and I love this concept because in Alaska, one of my favorite things about our music community and literally every community in Alaska is we're all Swiss Army knives. Everyone does 17 different things. And you don't know what, but you're not surprised when they bust out another one because we have to. And you built that into the model of a lot of the places that you are going. I've never heard the term before, but tell me about cross-training.
Well, it's, one, it does elevate the employee, right? You can be paying the person the same exact amount of money, and it's not that you're not paying the proper wage.
Well, what is it first? 'Cause I
The
don't know.
cross-training. I'm sorry. So cross-training, what it sounds like, right? So that venue attendant also would have known how to use the ticket scanner, right? We didn't keep that information from the person saying, oh, you don't need to know that. No, yes, you do. Because in a pinch, when somebody calls in sick, when this happens, when that happens, I need you to be able to do this basic function. But that also introduces the person into the box office. And maybe they're going to cover a break, and maybe they're going to do this and that. And what you're doing, not only are you elevating the employee, but you're watching your bottom line too, right? It's not about the rate of pay at all. It's about, and I'm sure everyone in this room has this problem one way or another, it's about not having enough people to do the job you want to do as well as you want to do it. So when you have folks that can do different multiple roles, you're saving money, you're saving stress, you're elevating the team, and you're building that pipeline. And you're retaining individuals for the long term. And the success rate of that was huge at the Showbox. We had people for over a decade. There are still people there that I hired in addition to those managers who are bartending right now. They just love it. It's in their soul. They're still there. So when you do create that cross training, it fills so many different voids, right? It's helping the bottom line. It's elevating the employee. It's building pride, community, family, right? Because you're there for so long. It really is family, not something you're just speaking to. It's like it really is. And when you've seen it work, you can't do it any other way. So. Yeah.
I love this. Well, thank you so much for coming to visit us. The point of you visiting us is not to be on stage for 10 minutes. It's to be able to talk to everyone for the next 2 days. So thank you so much. I hope that if you are interested in any of what Amie's talking about or 1,000 other things that she knows about, that you will engage her. And I'm going to tell everyone about the breakout sessions for a second because that's what happens next. And I think I have slides.
There you are. Thank you all so much.
All right, this is a listening exercise now. We are gonna have 2 breakout sessions in a row. That means in the middle, you get to choose a new one when it's time. Up here, we are doing studio production. If you are interested in making a record, if you're an engineer, if you want to know more about that, that is happening up here, a moderated conversation. Downstairs at the same time, promotion, whether it's promoting events, promoting an artist, promoting yourself as a teacher, promoting anything. We are starting the day with some kind of hands-on skills that are aimed at folks who are individual operators. Later in the day, we'll be focusing on some things that I know others of you are more engaged in. But for now, this is kind of like some artist nitty-gritty. After that, at 11:30, maybe 11:31, we will swap upstairs in the main hall, stagecraft and showmanship. So we're talking costumes, we're talking poise, we're talking planning your set, we're talking interacting with the technicians so you sound amazing. And then downstairs at the same time, if anyone else is in my little ADHD club of procrastinators, we're going to go downstairs and we're going to talk about the fact that all of us are managing way too much information. If you would like to gripe about spreadsheets and exchange solutions, that's what we'll be doing down there. All of these are open discussions. Bring your questions. And if you are finding yourself like not wanting to be in one at the moment, gravitate towards the lobby. It's a great place to be. So now I'll invite you to grab a beverage and head to the spot of your choice. We'll resettle in just a couple minutes and continue our discussion, and we'll reconvene back here at 12:15.